We recognize that the audio isn't up to our standards. We hope you enjoy this anyways.
All right, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Triple Play, and please don't forget to
like and subscribe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that over.
No, that was given to me, and I'll own it.
You'll own it.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, or subscribe and like, and don't forget to support those that support us. We have a couple great people that have really been great, and that's Adi McCollum with Resource One. We're excited about that partnership, and they've been awesome. 636-458-1798. We also got Chris with CS Design. He does our intro, outro, the website. If you haven't been to our website, you need to. If you haven't been to, check out any of our merch. You need to do that. I got some on right now. I got my hat on. We got some cool hats, and everything we've chosen, I've chosen by hand, is to make sure they're high quality. So our T-shirt's gonna be the light cotton. They're not gonna be if one of those Gildan ones that are really thick, and you always can tell like they're super cheap. I mean, we've tried to pick good quality stuff. We also got some autographed balls out there. And we're working on getting some of those give out as well. I've already got, if you could see a camera, you'd be able to see, but I've got a bunch of signed footballs from Andy McCollum, and as we get a few more of the Rams through here, we're going to get those signed, and we'll start handing those out too.
NFL footballs are so big.
Yeah, they are. But, I mean, we got real ones. Those are real NFL footballs signed by Andy McCollum. We got some other guests. I'm going to try to, when Timmerman comes through, we'll get him to sign here from our last week's episode. We're still working on hopefully getting Mike Martin here sometime soon. And if we get him in here, we'll get him to sign it. And we'll just keep adding signatures to those. And when we get 4 or 5 good ones, we'll start handing those out to a few people. So got that just for that. So you'll probably notice the quality of our studio keeps increasing, and that's because we've been really trying to invest, put out a good product, so we hope that you guys like that. Don't forget to call Chris at CS Design, 573-436-3717. Don't want to forget that. And with
Didn't you say it?
No, I just talked about him, and I got talking about the website. Yeah.
I just need to memorize the numbers. I think we can do it quick.
Zip, zip, zip.
And I'm calling it. Blah, 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 blah. Chris at CS Design it. Blah, blah, blah.
Your dad got on to me for being so quick. Remember that when he was in here? That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do we got today?
We got the Cardinals, and what's really, really funny about that, so was I actually on Sunday saw your dad, and I asked him, and he goes, we have to save it so when I get in here sometime soon. I said, really? He goes, yeah. Your dad apparently has a few things to talk about when it comes to that. So, anyways, I thought that was hilarious. So,
He's got thoughts.
That he does. And speaking of the Cardinals, let me bring this up here. I want to talk a little bit about them. So maybe we should bring up the fact it isn't just the Cardinals that we've got having issues. It's we got the Cardinals, and it's another team that I've been a little shocked about is the White Sox. That's not on our thing, but have you looked at them at all? Have you been paying attention to the White Sox at all?
No. The only year that the White Sox were fun to watch was 2005.
Well, here's the thing. The White Sox have underperformed like the Cardinals. They have a good team. They've got one of the best pitchers. Really, the thing I think that differentiates them from the Cardinals is the fact that a lot of their problems are injuries. They had Hendricks, their closer, who has cancer, but he's on the cuff, so coming back. He'll be back, I think, in the next week. You got
But closers make a team better. They don't make a team good.
I know, but
still going to be in the lead going towards the end of the game.
But they have good starters. They've got 3 or 4 good starters, and a few of them kind of warm up. Lance Lynn is always notorious. He kind of starts out slow, and then he kind of gets really good. And he's had his last couple starts seem to be pretty good. But Tim Anderson is the other guy on their team that's been out, and he's he's that spark plug of the team. So I give them a little bit more of a pass because of that. But
they've set up that team probably like 2-3 years ago the way that they wanted, and when they set up that team, it was when I was watching it happen. It seemed like they were getting a bunch of talent, but there was zero thought on how all those people would work together.
Yeah, turn it around and do all right. Now, getting into our Cardinals, they're a little different story, man. So, St. Louis Cardinals, just like you were saying off camera earlier, all sorts of pitching. Their pitching has not been there. Obviously, they sent Jordan Walker down. and he'll eventually come back up. I think they're hitting. I think they overrated Dylan Carlson. I think they've overrated probably Tyler O'Neill. I'm sure you've got some opinion on that. But I think overall, you got Jordan Walker still. You've got Yepez. You've got Newbar. There's enough talent there. Whoever's hot, they can play. They can actually throw a few of their infielders out there too, right? I mean, yeah, Burleson can play out there. What's the other? Donovan. Brendan Donovan can play out there. So, and then you look at their lineup. I mean, they're not doing terrible. They've got Goldschmidt is hitting. Gorman's been pretty solid so far this season. He's been a nice surprise, right? I mean, seems like he's kind of stepped the next step up. But their starting pitching, which also I think affects their bullpen, because a guy like Whitford, who we'll look in a little while here, he reminds me of what they did last year. You remember what they did last year with one of their starters at the beginning of the season, and it didn't work out? Jordan Hicks. That's what Woodford reminds me of, the Jordan Hicks experience. Here you got a guy who's been good in your bullpen. We're going to now try to see if he can be a starter. Experiment's not working. You're 5-6 games in. The guy's not pitching well. But if he was in your bullpen as a long-term reliever versus trying to pitch 5 innings, maybe an inning or two, he'd be very, very effective. Effective. So
I think I think a good way to think about what the Cardinals are experiencing now is that there has to be like fail safes in a team. So like a really good team, you think of I don't know any really good team the last 3 or 4 years. The Braves, the Dodgers, the whoever.
Yeah.
If something isn't going right that game, starting pitcher, whatever. Starting pitcher number one goes 4 innings, gives up 4 runs, team's behind, he's got to come out. Now, what's your fail safe? Now you have somebody that can come in and fill 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah.
Okay, giving your chance a team to come back, and then you get to the end of the game, and then you have a closer that can potentially keep the lead or whatever. Every single thing that happens, they find a way to lose every single way. Close games, they don't end up getting the guys in across the plate late in the game to win the game. Pitcher doesn't go long enough. They don't have a guy that can fill in, 3 or 4 innings. The guy goes late. Maybe their closer. It's just like every single thing. Because you're gonna have bad games. You're gonna have a bad starting pitcher. But there's no like trickle down effect. It's all down effect. If this doesn't work this game,
it seems, and I go back and say it really starts with starting pitching. I think they've overrated their starting pitching, and I want to kind of go through that. Let's talk. I want to go bring them up here for a minute, but let's just talk about starting pitchers right now. So Montgomery, we've talked before. Great number 2. He's the kind of guy you can invest in. Okay. He was solid with the Yankees, mind you, even though he was rated like number 4 or 5 in the Yankees, often because of injuries, Cole being injured all. This kid kept getting put at number 2 and number 3 with the Yankees and still performed very well. Come to St. Louis in a better atmosphere.
Who was he with before? Seattle to start?
No, I think Yankees. He came up Yankee. He started Yankees, came up, and he's been a very, very solid hit. He thought he was going to stay there the rest of his life, and they traded him to St. Louis. He's been very happy here. But they didn't sign him in the offseason. He's got this year, and he's a free agent. He's a young lefty who's been successful both in New York and now in St. Louis, right? Okay. Next guy. Okay. You got Michael Mikolas, right? Michaelis. And Michaelis when he pitches, he's a guy who I think on any elite staff is a number 3 or 4 guy. And any good staff in baseball, he's not a bad pitcher. He's going to give you innings. But there's a reason he wasn't your game 1 starter in the playoffs last year, even though he had a good year.
He's very inconsistent. I think you're either going to get like 7 solid innings, or something bad's going to happen in the second or third inning. You
know who he reminds me of? The Cardinals used to have, and now he's actually with the White Sox, who we were talking earlier, was Lance Lynn. If I had to make a comparison to Michaelis, I would say he's kind of that Lance Lynn type pitcher, where he's good at times, looks really great, but you're right, inconsistent. Throughout the season, he's going to win games. I have no no question in my mind that by the end of the season his numbers will look better. But last year he had a fluke good year, but he'd been injured the first few years prior to that. He had one good year coming out of Japan, and then he got injured. They go over and they give him 2 years, $40 million. Not saying it's the worst deal in the world, but I'm just saying that seemed like it was a rushed decision because you have no pitcher signed next year, and all of a sudden you're like, well, we got to do something. Why would you pick him over Montgomery? That was one of my first questions because he's a few years older. Montgomery's a lefty. He's young. That was just one of my first questions. If I was going to invest 2 years and $40 million, Michaelis or Montgomery, even off last year, just that half year we had with him, but knowing his record with the Yankees, seeing what he did for us, I would have gone there. But quite honestly, I think I would have waited till the first month or so of the season and then gone in and got an offer because I always like to see how they perform a little bit in the next season, just to see how they perform a little bit. And things are still going before I invest that kind of money. Now things are still going. All right, so we did those two. Now let's get to our number 3 guy. Number 3 guy, Wayno, not around, injured, going to be back. Okay, so who do they insert for him? Woodford. Woodford was a great reliever, long-term reliever for him last year. Did a good job for a couple innings. He would come in, have 2 good innings. All right. How's he been doing as a starter? He can't seem to get past 4 innings. Dude cannot. His last start, I think he got to 4.1 innings, if I remember right. But he's barely trudging across 4 innings per game right now. He's a 3 or 4 inning guy, and then he seems to fall apart after a couple innings. So I go back and say this is that experiment where like the Jordan Hicks one last year, where I say it's failed. It's time to lick your wounds and make a change there.
I guess there's no. It's not a debate that the pitching is bad. But like, how are you going to fix it? Or maybe the first question is why wasn't that addressed in the offseason? I mean, the excuse is the same. Hey, we have guys that we trust. We did go out and get people, but those people that we got are injured now.
Well, so Michaelis, which I know, Bernie Michaelis, who I know you've got the article I was reading earlier. I like his stuff because he likes to break things down very well. And he points out they've been right around 6 or 7 in spending year over year, and this year they're 15. So
that's one pitcher. I mean, that's a pitcher.
Yep. Number 2, my question is, and you said, where's help going to come from? That's the thing I keep wondering is, when are they going to reach down? I want to read you these numbers. Now, let me give you these real quick. Michaelis, 1-1, 5.97 ERA. Woodford, 1-2, 5.72 ERA. Matz, 0-3, 6.23 ERA. Okay. Those are 3 pitchers. Flaherty we can get into. He's 2-3 with the 3.94, but I just want to point out something. Game 1, 7 walks, 5 innings, and somehow didn't give up a run. If he gives up, like a normal pitcher would have given up 2 or 3 runs minimum in that game, his ERA would easily be over 5 right now, like the rest of them. So his ERA got very lucky with the defense that game. Okay. Now here's what they got in the minors.
You just said 4 pitchers that have over 5, close to 6.
3, and then one that's lucky right now that he isn't there.
3 and 1 on that game
right now that he isn't there.
Just call it 4th.
Okay. Yeah. So let me tell you what they got in the minors right now. These guys are all first-round draft picks. Okay. First-round draft picks. Okay. Lefty. Okay. Livadori. First-round draft picks. What's he pitching? He's 3-1 with a 2.14 ERA. What's he pitching? He's 3-1 with the Gordon Graceffo. Okay, had a really rough first game. Gave up like 8 runs in 5 innings, 10-something ERA coming out of that game. Since then, his last 4 games, 3.53 ERA in his last one, no hitter. Through 6 innings. 3 ERA. Okay. Last one. Michael McGreevy, 3-0. 2.19 ERA. They've got 3 guys, 2 lefties and a righty, sitting in AAA right now. All pitching better than anybody in their starting lineup.
But there's guys you can't. Unless one of those big leaguers
anybody in the
hurt,
starting
you're
lineup.
not going to say, hey, you can't. Here's your $20 million. Go to the minor leagues. You're not gonna.
But these guys are first-round draft picks. We're not talking like guys who were pulled off the scrap. But these guys,
I understand. But I mean,
we're not talking like guys who.
Somebody made a decision. But I mean, they're not going to go. We're giving up on that decision.
I don't think they have to give up. But I mean, here's an easy one. between the next few starts, move Woodford back to the bullpen and bring up one of these guys and see what they can do. Between the next few
Well,
starts,
eventually they're going to have to shuffle
to the
around
bullpen,
everything
bring up one of these
because
guys and see what they can do.
there's another pitcher coming back.
Eventually
They're going to have to shuffle around everything.
Yeah, Wainwright.
Yeah. So he's going to have to come back. So
I guess
Woodford's
Woodford
out.
goes. Okay.
Woodford's out, so he's going to.
What about Matz?
So
I mean, you guys 0-3.
goes.
Okay.
Out. Yeah, I mean.
What about Matz?
Yeah.
I mean, would you not?
I would. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to fire the guy or DFA him, but I mean,
I would. I also wouldn't have
saying
come
that
into
you have
the
to fire
off
the
season
guy or
saying, "Hey, we're good
DFA him,"
here."
but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Just roll with this. But they did that, so saying, "Hey, we're good here."
Yeah, I agree. I this
tough choices.
Yeah,
Hard choices.
I agree.
Lead to
This
easier outcomes. Easy choices lead to harder outcomes. It was how I mean it was. It's easy to say. Oh, we're pretty good. Harder outcomes. It was the easy choice. Well, now look at what you're living with to say.
Yeah, well, it was the obvious flaw to anybody who was in baseball. So, yeah,
well, there's always more
obvious flaw to anybody
behind
who
the
was in
story.
baseball.
They knew what the writers were writing. They knew what their fans were saying this off. They knew their needs. There's writers are writing. They knew it's a business. Yeah. So there's business decisions that need to be made. We're not the CFOs. We're not the. It's a business. And so to just say this makes sense. Not the CFOs. We're not the. Who cares?
Yeah.
Sending maps down. This makes easier said than done.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I don't even think you have to send him down. I just think you might need to give him a rest and bring somebody up. You know, maybe you put him on a 10-day DL and I just think you give a start to one of these young guys just to give him. I mean, maybe get his head around something, do something, go throw a bullpen session at a college. You know, when like John Schmaltz did between the Red Sox and the Cardinals before he came over here and did really well. And Carpenter worked with him, like John Schmaltz.
Yeah, and then you got to start. You're starting those guys' clocks. You're sending them up. You're getting big league time. You got to start.
I agree.
And all that. Like, there's a lot more than goes into it. Just this guy's doing well. Let's send him down.
I agree. Well, I think the fact that my thing is you got guys doing well, and you got guys in the majors who are not doing well, and we're now 6 weeks, over a month into the season. They've had 5 or 6 starts. Majors who most of these guys are not turning things around. So at what point do you eventually have to do something? I mean, this kind of reminds me, reeks a little bit, and maybe this will. You know, this is where my thing starts. Do you remember the last year that Mike Matheny was with the Cardinals? Reeks a little bit.
As a player?
No, as a coach.
Yeah.
Okay, he was coach for us for 4 years. 3 years he went to the playoffs, one of those in the World Series. No, his 4th year he started out just like this, terrible for 4 years. Right, it was terrible. Went to the playoffs, and to me the flaw was really, really, really obvious, and that flaw has continued on. Dexter Fowler. Tommy Pham, we've kind of had these discussions. These guys, not that they were terrible players, but they didn't cohesively go. A lot of egos. Colton Wong, they had a lot of guys with egos in that clubhouse, and once those got out of the way, guess what? Michaud comes in and he inherits all these young players who are dying to get a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And
also very good veteran players.
He inherits all these young players who are dying to get a chance.
And manage the clubhouse and also very good veteran players.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that I think was a hard part for Matheny, because the year before, I think it was, or the year before that, Matt Holliday had moved on, and he had been that kind of presence, and then that kind of just left this void in leadership.
Yeah, I mean, think about the Cardinals struggle. I mean,
and he had been that kind of presence.
How much
and then that kind
in a team struggle be attributed to a manager? But think about the Cardinals manager last year. How much you had Pujols be attributed to a manager? Yachty. Think about Skip Schumacher. All these guys that are surrounding him, and then just poof.
Yep, they're gone.
Yachty.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got Arenado and Goldschmidt.
Yeah, but those aren't that's not the type of player that like helps out the manager.
But I mean, you still got
no one thinks about one thing when he wakes up, and that's smashing a baseball and making sure he's in the glove. And that's it. He doesn't care about what the manager thinks. I don't think that's part of. You think of like a Yachty, that's a guy that wakes up and thinks, how can I
bleed red?
Yeah, like I'm part of, like I want to manage, I want to help this, I want to do this. And Yachty, that's a guy. So there's a difference in
bleed red.
Veteran. Like I'm part of players.
Definitely, and you definitely saw discipline kind of come back into the clubhouse with Pulisic last year too. He's another guy who, even though he didn't do well with the Angels, Mike Trout would often contribute, a lot of his success because of Albert. He said Albert would always point out flaws, and even though he couldn't always execute like I could, he was the one who would show them to me on the pitches and stuff, and help me to get those few extra homers this season.
I know how it feels
show
to
them
have
to me
to
on
play
the
for a
pitches,
manager
so
where
it
you
can help
question
get,
everything that they
3
do,
extra homers this season.
and you pay attention to what they say after the game.
I
and
know
you're like,
how it feels to have to
play for.
what do you think of Marmol? What are your thoughts on him?
I've only met him a couple times. I've only heard what other players have said
What do you
about
think
him.
of Marmol?
Everybody loves
What are
him.
your thoughts
I
on
met him. Great guy, nice guy. Very
times.
to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves him. I think there's nuance. Nice guy. That needs to be learned. That he hasn't quite grasped yet.
Yeah, I mean that became honestly 2 things that I've seen in the past month and a half of him managing.
That he hasn't quite grasped
In the last
yet.
year, yeah, I mean that became first game of the playoffs, worst managed playoff game I've ever seen in my life of him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what even made it worse was that like shortly afterwards he just said, "Here they
Oh yeah.
this whole game fell apart." And versus owning up to it at first, he kind of, well, I would have made that decision, the same decision. I'm going, whoa. This whole same decisions get you the same outcome. That's not what you say.
Well, yeah. Then it's also
I would have made that decision, the same decision.
Sanity.
Exactly. So he initially, I think the management talk or ownership talked. Somebody talked to him because he came out and kind of corrected himself. And then this year, the whole Tyler O'Neill. Not that I'm not the biggest Tyler O'Neill fan. I've never been on that big bandwagon. Okay. But one of the things I don't like is I don't like a manager calling a player out in public before they've had an opportunity to do it privately.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah, I think it's just it goes to the right way to handle things, and I thought how he kind of did that publicly with Tyler O'Neill versus pulling down in the dugout.
That's nuance. That's
Thought how saying, "Hey, buddy, I didn't think you hustled well enough on that one. If I see that kind of struggle, if I don't see you give enough effort,
yeah.
again, you know, we're gonna have."
It just comes with experience. I mean, I don't know how many years that guy played
enough effort
in the minor leagues. I don't know.
Again,
Maybe he never did get yelled at. It just comes with for doing something that he thought he was doing by a manager, like in the minor leagues. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe he
just something to
never
think
did
about.
get
So
yelled at. You can do that publicly. You can go to the top step and say, "Hey, did you give? Was that your best?" And let Tyler say, "Yeah." Or
just something to think about. So
let everybody see that you can go to the top step and say, "Hey, did you give?" Still private. Was that your best? Let Tyler say, "Yeah." Anyways, let's go.
we're gonna shift. I want to show some of this. So we're gonna move the camera. Give me just a second here, and we're gonna put this over so they can see this and take a look with us. I want to point out a couple things here. So here we
got analysis.
Yep.
We got super specific analysis going on.
Exactly. Well, we're going to take a look at pitching and hitting. We're going to start with the pitchers here. So we got Woodford. Let's start with Woodford here. All right. So here's for a second how he throws. There's the strike zone. Here's what he's throwing. All right.
There's a lot of yellow dots. Do we know what the yellow dots are?
Yes.
Sinkers.
So there you go. Righties versus lefties, where he was in the zone and not in the zone. So not 3 fastballs the whole game.
Sinkers.
Couple sliders.
Sinker slider guy.
Yeah. Yep. Curveball.
That's just probably a slider that he gets.
And he pitched 3.2 innings. So I said 4.1. It was 3.2. Didn't he make it the 4th inning again? He's averaged about 4 innings a game. So
Yeah, that's tough, especially the first month in April.
Yeah.
Your guys are going 3, 4, 5 innings. That's by May. You don't want your bullpen's arms hanging.
No, well, and that's been one of the problems. You talk about a lot of later games now that even when a guy like Montgomery pitches well, when he gets turned over, the bullpen's had to pitch 7 innings the game before.
They lose any way that they can lose. They lose. Like they.
Yeah. Well, let's keep looking here. So I just want to bring up him. So that's Woodford. Now let's take a look here. Oh yeah, here's a lineup real quick. We'll take a look at the lineup. So we've got this is them. Now hold on here. I want to show you what they're doing now.
Yee.
All right. So here we go. Now look at them. They're not as bad. Look at you compare like shortstop to shortstop. Okay. Edmonds hitting better, 286 versus their 185.
Last 10 games, 3, 4, 5, 6, 200, 100. Willie's around 150. That's tough.
Yeah, I'm looking here. The Cardinals aren't terrible, right? I mean, when you kind of look at it, Paul Goldschmidt's hitting, he's normally a 308. He's hitting 275. Gorman, now he's been a little bit rough lately. He's kind of gotten a little colder again. He was hot for a while. Ornato, that's a big. I mean, you see that 103 the last 10 games.
James Outman, that guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You seen him?
Oh
For
yeah.
the Dodgers.
He that play he made the other day. Oh yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Homegrown. Dodger homegrown.
So there's some hitting, just kind of comparing them to the Dodgers. But when you look at them from side to side, they don't they're not. It's not like the Dodgers are overwhelmingly better than them in every department. I mean, I look at their hitters and I go, man, they're
Let's go to you go to get their pitching.
well. They're I don't have the Dodgers pitching. We're going to
Well,
break down the
I mean,
Cardinals.
I think you say there's not much of a difference there. It's probably not.
Yeah, the hitting. When you look at like
Best teams have good pitching.
yeah, when you look at like Gold Glovers, we got several good. We're good defensively. What do we have 4 last year? Now this is our one good pitcher. Let's see what Montgomery's doing, and he's doing it right, obviously. So let's take a look at this.
Sinker curveball.
Yep, sinker curveball, but he has that 4-seam that he throws in there every now and then. Throws people in that cutter once in a blue moon as a lefty. As you were saying, lefties don't do the cutter as much. There you go.
It's a dangerous pitch.
So threw the sinker the most, averaged 93.2 miles an hour on it.
Yeah, he's a big guy too. I mean, he's gonna be solid.
There's his 4-seam fastball. So he did that a little bit. Let me bring it back here just a little bit here. All right. And then here we go. Batters taking, he had batters take 51%. Batters swinging 42. There we go. So called strike 17, swinging strike 13, fouls 11, hit outs 13, base hits 5. Pitched 7 innings, allowed 1 run.
More of that.
That's what they need. I mean, they lost it 1-0. Now it's against Kershaw.
That's one guy out of 5.
Yeah, this is a spread here real quick. Let me get out of here. Yeah, here you go. That's kind of an interesting one, too, when you look at the strike zone. A lot of them at the corners. You look at there and you can see, like, he just pelts the corner, especially that changeup. Look at that changeup right there. Just pelts on that inside corner. So, yeah.
First righties.
Yeah.
Oh, that's down and away. That was down and away. Righties change it down and away.
Yep.
Well, I also Tommy. I think I read that Tommy's hitting like 300 right-handed and like 1 something left-handed.
Could be.
So once that gets out.
Yeah, hold on here. So let's go here. I want to go to the next one here. Flaherty. Here's a guy. All right, so there we go. We got 37 fast-seam fastballs, 4-seam fastballs. 29, that knuckle curve he throws. 20 sliders, 17 cutters, 4 sinkers, and 3 changeups.
So he threw more off-speed than fastballs. That's not good.
Here's what he threw through the 5 innings. Look, he was getting 75-mile-an-hour strikeouts. That's where he got his 4 strikeouts.
Man, I wish I could wish if you could replace Yadier, not his hitting stats, but just have Yadi and simulate what this last month and a half does to the ERA for the pitching staff, just for him, for his knowledge, his framing, his everything. Like if he's just behind the plate instead of them having a 5.76, maybe they have a 4.76.
I don't know.
I have no idea. That's it.
Yeah, there's definitely a
Yachty factor.
Yeah, I mean he was definitely one of the smartest catchers there ever has been. So we got the slider, knuckle curve. All right, hold on here. This cutter actually throws it pretty hard. All right, and there's the end results of this. So, and he got 8 base hits and gave up a slew of runs. So.
A slew of runs. How many is a slew?
What did he lose that game by? Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, I think he gave up 5 in 5 innings. So he had rocked. All right, so we don't need to compare that again. I want to go back to, we've done Flaherty. We got to get to Matt's here. I think he's up here. Oh, Michaelis. There we go. Miles Michaelis. Let's look at him. There you go. 25 sliders, 25 sinkers, 23 curve, 22 fast seam. I mean, it's very well evened out.
Yeah, but that's not like when pitchers are pitching well, they throw more fastballs than
Yeah.
speed. I mean,
There you go.
Even if you looked at like a old knuckleballer, they were throwing knuckleballs. If they were throwing really well that day, they were mixing in more fastball.
Get the invitation for tomorrow, by the way?
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Tomorrow.
I got an invitation. For what?
Tomorrow.
Will you remind me instead of just changing your say
for tomorrow? It's a breakfast in the morning for RA.
Oh.
He's going to be in town.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got the invite.
Okay.
So it's over in St. Charles. It just came up because you're talking about knuckleballers, and here he's going to be in town. We're going to see him tomorrow morning. One of the best. RA was good. So here we go. We got 50 batters taking, 45 swinging. While you do that, I'm going to bring this right here. So here's something, he has 4 base hits. Michaelis, again, I have more confidence that he'll turn around because he is who he is than most of these other people.
Yeah, but I mean, you stick around long enough, people see your stuff.
That is true. Go. Curve fastball. All right. Let's.
Bottom line is their pitching stinks, and I don't think guys are having fun. It's too many distractions.
Well, here's the last guy. We got Matz. We got one more. Yep, Steven Matz.
He was good when he was with the Mets for the first couple of years.
Well, and he was decent with Seattle before we signed him. He had a couple good years. He threw those ball. He had a lot of ground balls. That's why the Cardinals thought they'd get him, because they had Arenado and Goldschmidt. They thought all those ground balls would go right to their gloves.
Matt's even that, like, Matt's best was a 5-starter.
Well, there you go. Sinker, curveball, changeup. That's what he throws.
Good for him.
So yes, we've gone through all their starting pitchers, and now we've seen, and we looked a little bit at their hitters. I mean, they've, I think their hitting's going to come around. Their fielding's good. I have a lot more confidence in their bats and fielding. Brendan Donovan's really good. Arenado will turn it around. Goldschmidt's going to be Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt usually starts out a little cold a lot of times. He tends to get really hot during the summer. His best months are always June, July, beginning of August. Some reason now, here's something to look at for Goldschmidt, though. One of the our postseason problems is no hitting, and he notorious seems to go cold late August, early September. That's an interesting thing. If you look at his
who are we talking about again? Nolan?
No, Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh.
Goldschmidt usually starts out a little slow, warms up, and he usually has a good
middle of summer.
Yeah, May, June, July, beginning of August, he gets really hot. July is like one of his best months. He usually hits 18, 20 home runs almost every July. So, and then he cools back off, and then by the end of August, beginning of September, just like you saw last year, he gets really cold, and that's not uncommon with him. I mean, that's been kind of a threat of him. If you look at us, I'd be interested. I don't have it, but I'd be interested to see what the September numbers are. So year over year, they're not good.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that.
But he's consistent. That's what I'll say about Goldschmidt. He's consistent. I think Arenado's fairly consistent. After having this bad April, he'll turn it around. But
yeah, and also, I mean, a lot of those bench guys, those guys that are mixing in, they've been in the league for a couple of years now. At some point, those guys start getting annoyed that they're doing that.
Yeah.
I know I did. At some point, you're like, okay, this is fun, but yay, let me get some playing time. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but
yeah,
there's more down the pipeline than they know.
Let me look at us for a second. Let me flip that back around to us. There we go. All right, so now we've talked a little bit of some of their pitching. Overall analysis. Do you think they're going to be able to turn it around?
No. Well, I say no, but also a little bit of yes, just based on who's doing well right now. Like if the Pirates weren't in first place, I'd say, like if it was another team, I think the Pirates have a very good potential to fall back down to earth.
Yeah, I think again, I go back. I think the Cardinals can do it. Um, but again, this is, and we keep talking about this, but last year, what did they go get in the middle of the season? Two pitchers. What did they do the year before in the middle of the season? Two starting pitchers. What did they do the year? This starting to become a theme. Like, hey, we're struggling with pitching in the halfway mark, and let's go pick up two pitchers. And here's the other thing I like to point out: whoever they picked up is whoever is going to wind up being their guy going into the playoffs. Last year, um,
Yeah, but you have to get to that point where you can say, "Oh, we can go get pitchers." What are they, 10-21, or what were they saying?
yeah, 10-19 or something like that. 10, yeah, it's not good. Yeah,
It's not good.
the 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 other thing I look at is they've got help in the minor league, and maybe one of the get smart and bring one of those guys up. At least see what they got. I mean, at some point,
That you have to have an unbelievable talent, like a yacht, like a Puig or a Cody Bellinger, like that type of impact. Otherwise, you're
yeah,
just getting filling starts, guys injured. You're just
yeah,
filling out
okay.
a roster.
I just when I'm looking at what they're doing, I just think you got to change things up, and somewhere
Well,
you got to
yeah,
do and move and groove, and so you either do it by adding through a trade, or you do it by bringing up through the minors. And they've got a couple options. They've got three guys, first round draft picks, sitting in their AAA, ready to come up, pitching good right now. They've got options. They've got trade bait. They could have traded in the offseason. A lot of teams were interested in Dylan Carlson. And
I think they probably are assessing how much their struggles are due to the way that the roster's set up, or if it's more internal conflict that's
leading to it.
prohibiting success.
Yeah. Or sometimes it takes a while for people to get their groove, and it could be leadership. I mean, there's a lot of things that it could wind up being. Sometimes it just somebody's got to take the bull by the horn. Every now and then, something like get a situation like this, and a guy like Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt finally steps up and says, "Enough's enough. Follow me, guys."
We need a new Gloria song for the like the Blues had the Gloria, play
Yeah,
Gloria. The Cardinals need to have something.
get rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I don't know. They just don't seem like they're having fun.
I think they are not. I think everybody would agree with that one. Well, let's get into the next thing that we were kind of going to discuss a little bit today. So we got a little something here, and I want to throw this up because I think it's hilarious. So this is
Yeah, we'll touch on this if you haven't heard about this yet.
well, I think they'll hear about it, but I think it's funny that some of the things that are going on. So let's see if it, yeah, there we go. It should be right behind here now. There we go. Oh yes, glorious Bud Light.
Man of genius.
Oh yeah. So they put out this thing getting a transgender woman to represent them, and
Dylan? Is
yeah,
that their name?
Dylan Mulvaney, I think is the
Mulvaney,
name,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, and the weird we can get into nuances about Dylan Mulvaney. It's kind of an interesting, weird thing because he, she, it was gay. Seems to have now dressed up, but still seems no different, less flamboyant than before. So you
Here's
know,
my whole thing about Dylan Mulvaney. Or is that his name, Dylan Mulvaney?
I think so.
Just don't act like you're like an 8-year-old girl. That's the creepy, like that's the creepy part.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're walking, you're a grown,
You're a
you're a
grown man.
grown man, first of all. But if you want to pretend to be a woman, whatever.
Well,
Dress up like a woman, whatever. Just like, can we carry over the mental capacity? Like, at least act like a 35-year-old woman. Like,
and
it's weird that print. Like,
And Scott, people follow this. That's the other thing I find interesting is that he actually has a following, or it has a following. So that kind of blows my mind away. But when I look at Bud Light and I see what's going on, I find that very interesting. What I'm hoping is this is one of those things that wakes up more businesses, and they're like, let's not do this. There needs to be some boundaries to what
for
we're.
both sides, I hope Bud Light fails, and then I hope a company on the right does something that makes the left mad and they go out of business. I hope companies start going out of business when we start hearing what they think other than their product. That's what I hope happens.
Yeah, that they shouldn't
Go
be.
out of business. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear about that.
You don't
I wanna
want to.
drink your beer. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit in your car and drive it. That's it. I don't want to hear your thoughts.
you don't want to hear about all that.
Don't care.
Yep.
I hope they go out of business.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. So I'm bringing this up here. So the result has been sales of Bud Light have been plummeting since the company enlisted the help of Mulvaney. In the week that ended April 22nd, the brand's in-store sales plummeted more than 26%, according to figures by Bump Williams Consulting, a Connecticut-based firm that specializes in the alcoholic beverage industry.
I hope it's
Yeah,
gonna.
and the decline is only accelerating. The week before, sales dropped 21%, and the week before that was 11%. So they just keep dropping. Yep.
Good. More.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope they do worse.
it's certainly interesting. So for sure. And so I
Like if it wasn't beer, if it was this microphone company, and
Yeah.
their mic and I had to look at something that had nothing to do with this product, like a microphone, I'd be like, why? Why do I have to look at this? I don't want your product anymore.
yeah,
Whatever it is, I just want your
exactly.
product. That's it.
Yep. I would agree. Well, that's an interesting one. Now, one other story you kind of mentioned was this whole Russia and China thing. Any thoughts on that?
Russia, China. No, the only reason because it's been going on for a long time, and the only I see things that seem significant, but then it kind of just falls by the wayside. But Russia just or Ukraine just bombed like the whole oil industry in Crimea
Yeah.
just a few days ago, and then that was it. But I would imagine that's going to have an impact. I mean, it's a whole oil industry gone in Crimea.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I keep waiting for this to finally come to a landing point because it just seems to me like this thing's dragging on. Russia seems like somewhere along the line they've got to be saying, you know what, we need to pull out some kind of a win, but maybe not the whole country anymore. This is starting to become costly in other ways. On the other hand, political capital wise, it seems to be gaining. I mean, they're trading more with China. One of the things I want to bring up, hold on here, I want to show you this because this was an interesting stat I found today. Yeah, there it is, right behind her. GDP growth. China and Russia have had some of the most significant GDP growth in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something to take note of. If the two of those guys, and then you get India who kind of tiptoes with them a little bit too. Yeah, I mean those are things definitely to take note of when you're looking at GDP and output, right?
Well, yeah, and then we also have. I mean, we got the report that we actually have special forces in Ukraine,
Yeah.
other things like that. I don't know. I didn't know if you heard anything new or if that's going in a different direction or if.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard anything new. I've been paying attention to it. I've always thought, China, ever since 2011, 12, when they started their Sun Road initiative to kind of take over financially for the world. Their goal was to do it within 20 years. They're on pace. I mean, their yuan is being traded more and more with India and Russia. The American dollar looks weak. I mean, we just had, what did we have yesterday happen? Another bank fail. Okay.
Yeah, just the second largest ever.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but
Barely
everybody,
broke the news.
just a few weeks ago, that it was supposedly a great bank and we should all invest in it.
Yeah.
So,
And I saw a congressman made some nice money off of that. She found out all about all that and
so back in March and bought.
sold it at 80%. She would have lost 80% more if she didn't know that. And so she sold it and only lost 20% instead of 80%.
But it's not insider trading.
No. That's a good business model. Just have an app or something that tracks congressmen's investments and when they sell and stuff.
Somebody was doing that with Pelosi and got in trouble on Twitter. They were tracking all of her husband's
yeah.
trading
Yeah.
secrets.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And
Here's all my money. Just do it exactly what they're doing.
whatever they're doing, follow. Yep, they never lose. So
Ever. But yeah, that's fine. We'll just.
that's certainly an interesting thing. So I I go back and say I think Americans need to be paying attention. We need to make sure that we're making more here and that we're not making things over. If we're making things overseas, we need to make sure we're also making them here so that we're not fully dependent upon that one country. And we kind of saw that during the pandemic at times with certain products. I think we need to take a step back, make American first, and I get it, you want to have community with other countries. That's how you survive in the world as world players. But make sure, if we're making things over there, if we're making microchips in Taiwan, we should be making them here in America too, right? So don't leave ourselves that vulnerable where we're fully dependent upon another country for one single product that could cripple us, especially whether it be medicine, whether it be computer chips, whatever it is. So I think that there's something to definitely take note of that. So, well, any parting thoughts on that before we kind of move on?
No.
No. All right. Well, I tell you what, we've had this is our first time talking in a while on camera because we've had guests and we've been so blessed to have them. We got some really good guests coming up. A few of them I already know that we've kind of got lined up and somewhat lined up. We're going to have Star Wars next episode, May 4th. We're going to have that crew in here. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're a Star Wars fan, check it out. Jump, you'll enjoy that. Over the next few weeks, I know we've got a pro wrestler with the NWA going to be coming on here. That'll be a fun interview. We've got a world-renowned guy in dinosaurs coming on. So
Dino Dan. No, that's a show that my kids watch.
Dino Dan?
That's not his name.
This guy is not called Dino Dan. But right now he's over in Europe doing a European tour, so it'll be fun when he comes back here and we get him in studio here. We're gonna still work on doing the thing with Marv at the St. Louis Zoo.
Heck yeah.
So we're gonna get that worked out, and we're gonna have some fun with that. And then Tommy Heineman, pro MLS former champion, should be coming on here sometime soon. So we'll and I think we'll have to check in with Josh Beckett here soon too, and check in with him.
He's ready. He's ready to talk again. He's ready to come out of hiding.
I'm out of hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, all that said, we're gonna
Dad, as well. He said he's coming on.
Yep, we'll get his thoughts on the Cardinals, but other things too. I think he probably gets worn out talking about nothing but baseball. So
no, he does not.
He doesn't.
He does not.
Okay.
No. I say they have bad pitching. He'll add to
that. That's awesome. Well, we'll get him in here, and then we need to get in here with him too sometime is Ricky Horton. Ricky would be fun with your dad. I like that.
Yeah, we'd have to be careful because he sees those guys every day.
Yeah. But yeah, get some of those guys in here. So all that said, thanks again for catching a little bit shorter but fun episode. But definitely want to take some time to talk about the Cardinals and their problems. Hopefully, maybe you learned a few things. I did when I was looking at all those pitching stats and kind of seeing where their flaws were, seeing where, as you said, where they were not as dominant with their, when their confidence there, they're throwing a fastball a lot, watching how far out of the strike zone some of these guys were getting a little bit wild, which tells you, that unless you're Randy Johnson, that's not what you want. So, anyways.
I do have a fleeting thought.
What's fleeting thought?
We can end our episodes with my fleeting thoughts.
That sounds good.
I have a fleeting thought for today. Make sure you moisturize your skin. I'm looking at my skin and it's very dry. I would imagine if my skin was moisturized and healthy, it would make me healthier. So make sure you guys moisturize today if you have the opportunity. All right?
The fact that you just said that while rubbing your leg is the funniest thing in the world.
That's my fleeting thought for the day.
Well, with that, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And moisturize your skin.
Hey, one other thing, make sure you're visiting our website. Make sure you're letting your friends and family know about this show. We're going to have a lot more good stuff going on. And we're not lying when we say we've done a lot of things in the studio. You probably noticed with the TV behind us. But
and he is lying when he says we, because Josh did it all.
Well,
all this is... That's all you, buddy.
Well, you did a little bit of it.
You take the credit.
So, well, But all that said, I mean, we've been really trying to take this up. We want to give you a high quality product, and going forward, you should get that. We've got great mics, great TVs. Just got a brand new computer that has everything that you'll ever could want.
It's got lights and spinning fans and hexagons and pentagrams, shapes. It's crazy.
That graphic card is like, you can almost write it like
It's like
a car.
It's like a book.
So, and we do. We're gonna get some more sign balls. You're gonna get those sign balls to me some.
Yeah.
All right.
I just hit my knee.
Yeah, don't do that.
My unmoisturized knee.
We'll get some sign balls and we'll get some more of those handed out to people. I know that we need to get that going.
Are they all gone? All the other balls?
No, yeah, I keep asking that. Chris took that whole bucket to put them on our website,
Oh,
so
okay.
that way he doesn't have to, sit down.
So we need more.
Right,
And
the
I
other
have
bucket.
the bucket.
Yeah, she had the other one. I got 2 buckets, one for you to sign for us to hand out, and one to have for the store.
We'll get those to you.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll catch you at the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Moisturize.
Moisturize.
You're safe.